Hello everyone and welcome to another night of TGP2 racing for season 31. It's rounds 11 and 12 at USA and Mexico, the COTA circuit for USA and the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for Mexico. So like we said, two races tonight. We've just passed the halfway point of the season in TGP2 and the standing so far with the top three is Daniel P. Weirnut, who we're looking at now as we join us, is currently top of the leaderboard on 152 points. Got Cena in second on 141, 11 back, and Dom in third, 24 back on 128. So we've got about 6 minutes left in this qualifying session, and we're delighted to be joined by Sean in the commentary box tonight. How are you doing tonight, Sean?
Evening, Owen. Yeah, it's good to be in the commentary box again. Looking forward to tonight's race. It's going to be interesting to see championship-wise, because at the moment, Cena P2 in the championship, as you mentioned, has not left the pit lane at all. So could it be a potential quality ban, or is he just taking it easy to the last moments? That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Daniel P. Weirnut keeping up his good form that he's had in recent weeks. He's currently pole again, though it is very close at the top between himself and Cena's teammate in this season, Pastor, who's currently P2 and is less than half a tenth behind. Anyway, let's just, it looks like Aaron isn't there for the moment, so Jacko's just gone to P4 in the Ferrari. Jacko's fourth in the championship, missed last week's races, so he's not really as close as he was in the standings. He's now 37 off the top, still P4 though, still ahead of the rest behind. Blair Grills has just immediately disposed of Jacko on the second row by going fourth himself. Chris Johnson and Daniel P. Weirnut third and first respectively, both just coming into the pits, so they'll have one run left.
Yeah, we've got Jacko here. He's running P5. He's invalidated his lap. We've got Dom Smith. Is he on a lap? Don't think so. He might be actually, but he's a few tenths down if he is on a flying lap. At the moment, we've got a lot of drivers coming out for their final runs. Lower down the field, we've got like Paul, Bazza, and Matt all coming out for their final runs in this session. So is Dom peeling into the pits? Yes, he is. So let's see if anyone's on a flying lap. Blair Grills invalidated. Dom. I think Bazza's just starting to flying lap, Sean, so give us a little guide around this circuit.
Yeah, so into turn one, obviously the uphill turn one, as Bazza's just gone around there, into turn two, and this is the start of the Silverstone like Essex section, so very quick sweeping lefts and rights through here, very easy to just take a bit too much curve and validate your lap time. Bazza handles that pretty well. As he gets to the first sector, he's a quarter of a second up already, and he's just coming to the end of this Essex section, starts to go uphill again. Very easy just to run wide here and just invalidate your lap again. And then you're on the run back down the hill towards this tight left-hander, which gets you onto the back straight. And then a little exit, out the exit, just a little way down the straight when you get your DRS. So he will now press the button, open the DRS up, and we'll be going down the straight. He's got a car not too far up ahead, maybe giving him a little bit of a slipstream, but not too much. And then it's another tight left-hander as we come towards the start of the final sector. Bazza's a third of a second up, so he's looking good to possibly get onto the third row as it stands, as he waits his way around these slow lefts and rights, and then the long reverse turkey turn 8, as you just throw it in to the right, keep your foot down, hang it around the corner, and there's a very quick left-hander here for the penultimate corner. Don't want to run too wide there as well, but it's another left-hander, slightly off camber I believe, and then up the hill, across the line. He's lost a little time in the final sector, so he stays P9 for now.
Yeah, we've got, meanwhile, further up the field, we've got Daniel P. Weirnut coming out for his final run in this session. A lot of the guys further up the field now coming out for their final runs. Meanwhile, further down the field, we've got the likes of Paul, who are on a flying lap. That's invalidated though. Matt Shepherd, what can he do? He's currently running P10 in this session in the Haas, heading down the back straight towards turn number 12, John.
Yeah, M-Ship, I will say, he can set very good quality times, just doesn't come together for him in the race so far this season. I've seen M-Ship qualify as high as 4th or 5th this season, so he's definitely got the one that pace. Hopefully he'll be hoping just to really find some time in his last sector, because at the moment the time he is fighting won't get him any higher than his current position of P10. He doesn't have anyone in front of him that will get in his way, so that's good for him. But he does run very wide there, and that won't invalidate his lap, but it's probably going to throw away the lap for him, and he's not really going to have time for one more either. But no, he still goes P7, so that shows what I know, because he gains a third of a second in the last sector despite that error. It makes you wonder, if he hadn't made it and gone deep, maybe the front couple rows would have been waiting for him.
Yeah, it would have been indeed. Meanwhile, we're going on board with Daniel P. Weirnott, the current pole setter in this session. He's got about a quarter of a second up in that first sector. He's heading down the back straight. The DRS is going to be wide open. He's going to be up the gears in his Mercedes. Can he improve on his current 32.8? And he's only just on ahead of Parser, but Parser, of course, out the session. The sector 2 split, and he's currently another 10th up. It's a decent lap so far, John.
Yeah, it's looking very good for our championship leader. He just needs to put it all together in this last sector, as he's already done once this session to even get to pole in the first place. So he just will get it round here now. He's just got to make sure to just get these last 2 corners right, not take too much track. Handles it very well through there. Just one more quarter to go. Gets to the apex, very nice. Tidy exit onto the DRS and out the last corner. That's a 1:32.5. That is the lap time that Chris Johnson, Blair Grills and Jacko need to target to get to the pole position. And at the moment, I think Jacko's on an improvement, but not by too much.
Yeah, Jacko, Blair Grills and Chris Johnson pretty much line us not too far apart from each other on the circuit as it stands. So Jacko just on the back straight and the other two are just starting the back straight. So it's going to be very interesting as we come to the close of this qualifying session here at the Circuit of the Americas. He's about 3.5 tenths up. Jacko so far on his flying lap. It's a purple middle sector apparently. But can he make up the time he needs? He needs to go 6 tenths quicker to get that pole position. So he probably won't be challenging for that pole, but maybe put himself onto the front row. That's what he'll be looking at this current moment in time as he comes around the final 2 corners through turn 19. Very tricky corner, easy to run wide. He hasn't invalidated his lap time, so he's going around the final corner now. And what's his lap time going to be? It is going to be a 32.8, and it puts him into P3. And John Menzies has suddenly popped himself up into P2, John.
I didn't even know. A big surprise for John Menzies, obviously just returned in the last couple of weeks after a long time away from TGP. Definitely showing a good pace, and he'll be one to look out for the race if he surprises us like that, because up until the final moments it was Parser who, despite retiring earlier on in the session, was still looking good for a front row start, but at the last second Jacko and John jumping up the field. I think that might have been John's only lap time as well for the Alfa Romeo, and yeah, before that he only set a 1:54. He had 2 invalidated lap times, so that was a all or nothing lap for the Scotsman, and he's managed to pull it off and get the front row start.
He has indeed, and that is the end of this session because no one else is on a flying lap. So Daniel P. Wilner is going to get pole position. The championship leader is going to be very happy with that, especially as his nearest rival Jacko is currently down in 3rd on the grid, starting directly behind him on the road, but he has got that road advantage. But it's a very easy corner. There's plenty of lines to overtake into that turn 1 job.
Yeah, definitely. You could go at the inside, you could shoot it around the outside and try and catch people by surprise with it. It's very, very open corner. Obviously the uphill, kind of wide uphill, it kind of allows you to take different ways round it at the start. Kind of invites people to just go for the move down the inside, or even just send it up the outside if you're near the back, just to try and get a few spots where everyone kind of concertinas up into the corner. Quick rundown of the grid then for the race. You've got Daniel P. Wilner on pole ahead of John, Menzies in P2, Jacko 3rd for Ferrari ahead of Parser in 4th, Chris Johnson 5th ahead of Blair Grills, Mike Newman P7 ahead of M-Shep. Dom will be disappointed with P9. I think Paul disappointed with P10 as well. Then you've got Bazza, Joe, Marco, Kaya, Red Bull Kim, Mr. John, and no lap times for Cena or indecisive Mackie at the back of the grid.
No, not indeed. So, get ready to go for round 11 of TGP2, season 31, round this 3.4 mile circuit at the Circuit of the Americas, not too far away from downtown Austin, Texas. So, it'll be very interesting to see how the drivers tackle this circuit on a blistering sunny day here at the Texas circuit. I nearly said Texas Motor Speedway, and that's a completely different place. But getting ready to go here at this circuit. We've got about, 10 seconds ago, so final preparations for the drivers before we get underway here as the time ticks away. So the 5 lights will be on any second now. 3, 4, 5 lights are on here at COTA, and it's lights out and away we go, and it's a very strong start from the front of the grid from Daniel P. Wheeler. He's actually out-jumped John Menzies. John Menzies is getting swamped by the AlphaTauri behind him and Parser. And Parser's gone round the outside of him. He's up into P2 already. Jacko, is he going to try and hold on to that P3? Yes, but that's a very poor start for John Menzies.
It's a clean start as well. Everyone's got around the first corner safely. A very good start by Parser, gaining 2. Menzies down 2. Mike Noon had a very good start as well. Went down the middle of Chris Johnson, Blair Grills. Dom's gained a couple of positions as well. And Cena fast starting yet again. 17th on the grid has really become at P11. Although Baz has just got him back for that position. But 5 places gained already by the driver, second in the championship.
Yeah, it is indeed coming towards the end of Sector 1 and onto the back straight for the first time. Jacko very wide on the exit. Is that going to give John Menzies a chance down this back straight? DRS, of course, not enabled yet. It doesn't get enabled till lap number 3. But he's got the run. He's using the overtake. He's going to go down the inside and look for a move in the side of turn number 12. Is he going to get the move done and regain some of that position from that poor start? Yes, he does. And he's up into P number 3. Jacko is down to P4, Mike Noon rounding out the top 5, and Dom Smith is gaining a couple of places. I'm guessing there might have been something happening behind.
There was, just as Menzies finished the move, Jacko got a little bit of contact in the rear from Mike. Almost sent the Ferrari round. They managed to hold it together. Both got away with it. Don't think either car's got damage either, which is fortunate for a pair of them, but that very nearly was a disaster for the 2 of them, Jacko and Mike, but both get away with that.
Yeah, they do indeed. As they finish the first lap, Daniel Pino Wheelnut has a 1.2 second lead over Parser, and then John Menzies, who's got Jacko all over the back of him. Is Jacko going to make a move back down the inside into turn number 1? He's looking for it. Menzies gives him the room. There's a 5-second penalty for Paul. There's a 3-second penalty for Matt Sheck already. So not a good start for those drivers, but Jacko couldn't quite get the move done into turn 1.
Yeah, just didn't quite have enough on the Alpha and Fred to make the move. It's interesting, Cena pitting already though. Cena obviously made the good start. Did he pick up some damage potentially? I couldn't tell you if they've all got damage or if none of them got damage, because they've all come in and out the exact same order they came in. So I reckon, going by the the timings, I think they might have been possible damage for the 3 of them. We will just confirm it. And yes, front lane damage for Paul, Cena and
I'm going to have to butt in because Jacko is going down the inside of John Menzies, heading down the back straight. He's going to return the favour that John Menzies did to him the previous lap. He's going to hang around the outside, John Menzies, and Mike Noon has joined this battle with the back. It's a 3-car battle for the final spot on the podium at the moment.
Yeah, and if there's one thing, if I was John or Jacko, the one thing I want to do is try and leave the door open for Mike, because you know what Mike's like. He will take the opportunity if it's presented to him.
Well, Jacko has pulled off a superb move round the outside and got the job done. And Mike Noon snuck up the inside as well. He's got the move done in turn 18. So John Menzies has lost another 2 places and he's down to P5. Jacko into P3. And John Menzies has just picked up a 3-second time penalties to add to his woes as well.
Yeah, so, not good stuff for John there. Maybe a little bit of rustiness not being in the... But after a long break, it might just be a bit caught up by guys a bit more used to the game and that, and they just managed to muscle their way through on him.
Yeah, they do indeed. You've got Chris Johnson running in 6th place. He's now going to be the Lex contender on the back of the John Menzies Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, Mike Noon is going for a move down the inside of Jacko. They're side by side through turn number 8. And I think Jacko just about hangs on for the time being. DRS is open this time lap as well. So is there going to be some tactics and shenanigans played by the Ferrari and the Williams driver? The Williams driver is actually backed off to make sure he gets DRS. down this back straight and be able to pull off a move down towards turn number 12. So he's going to be using the overtake. He's going to have the DRS wide open. Is Jacko just going to be the sitting duck in his Ferrari? Yes, he is. Mike Nude round the outside, sweeps past, and he's going to get the move done before turn 12.
Yeah, I think Mike went for the move, but I think he backed off, kind of realised, hang on, DRS is open, and literally we're about to come to the straight. If I just sit behind, I'll get the DRS. It should be easy pickings because they're not close enough to pass her in P2, and that's exactly what happened. I think that's why he backed off a little bit before the straight. Ultimately hit them, but Mike doing that kind of allowed Menzies to get close enough to get DRS and protect himself for P5 ahead of Chris Johnson, because Chris Johnson really caught up to the back of him before that straight, but the DRS for Menzies just holding on to that DRS as well on P5.
Well, Jacko is looking for a move. He's going to try and return the favour. Is he going to dive down the inside at turn number 1? No, not quite. Mike Noon retains P3 for the time being, but the main battles on this track is the battle for P3 between Mike Noon and Jacko, and the battle for P5 between John and Chris. They're the main battles to worry about at this moment in time. Is Jacko going to try and follow him through this section? He's lost a bit of time through this section currently, but he's still going to have the DRS most likely down the back straight this time, John.
Yeah, this is going to be a race on that between the two. Mike and Jacko have very similar ERS levels as well, so it might just be in Jacko's favour this lap, but next lap, if there's an overtake this lap, the favour will be in Mike's corner, because he'll then have the DRS, but he has had a very good exit there, the Williams driver, and I think Jacko might just be a bit too far back.
Meanwhile, Chris Johnson is storming down the inside of John Menzies. He's going to look down the inside at turn number 12. Meanwhile, in the background, we've got the McLaren of Blair Grills down the inside of Dom Smith. Does Blair Grills get the move done as well? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. He hasn't got the move done. Dom Smith retains position for the time being. Meanwhile, Chris Johnson got the move done on John Menzies, and Chris Johnson is up into P number 5.
Yeah, and I think Menzies might just be dropping back a little bit here. I think might be taking a bit more cautious after the first time penalty he's got, but he is dropping back towards Dom a little bit, who's just trying to break Blair Grills, and there you go, the Alpha's in already, so maybe he's just burnt the tyres up a bit too much early on. So we'll see if anyone else reacts at that, because that obviously will give him an undercut if he could get a good outlap and potentially have him jump the guys he's lost positions to. There were a couple of yellow flags, one for indecisive Mackie, who's just spun twice in the last sector, and Marco, the lap before, he went round the last corner, hit the curb and spun into the barrier. Marco's just making the pit lane now. Had to wait for Cena to go past because Cena was down the inside. So the Red Bull's in the pits now in P16. Mackie's continued on in P17. M-Ship's having a struggle as well. I think he's got more damage to his front wing, so he's going to be in again. Meanwhile, Jacko a little closer this time compared to the night before on Mike, but he's not close enough really to make another attempt at the end of this DRS straight. So I think Mike is safe for now in P3. Meanwhile, we haven't really mentioned it much, but Daniel P. Wilner just doing the business once again. He's got a 3-second gap to pass, so he's controlling the race. He's got much more ERS than the cars behind as well, so if he had to, he could drop the clutch and just hammer it home and go even quicker. But he's doing what he needs to do at the moment, comfortably ahead of the field, and it's looking good for the Mercedes driver for yet another win this season.
Is indeed. We've got Blair Grill. There's actually a bit of a queue forming behind Dom Smith, though, it looks like at the moment. Starting to be a little bit of a queue, because Baz is not too far off this battle that Blair Grills and Dom are having. And is Blair Grills going to finally be able to make a move down into turn 1? He's going to have the DRS and using the earth. Dom Smith is going defensive already in towards turn 1. He's gone back to the outside, and Blair Grills has got up the inside. He's got to get the move done unless he outbrakes himself. No, he doesn't outbrake himself, and he's got the move done, and he's up into P6.
Yeah, that's been coming for a few laps. Blair Grills did seem the quicker of the two. He was just couldn't get the move done, wasn't quite close enough in the right places with the DRS to make a move until then. Dom was defending well, but ultimately just the extra DRS just for the DRS use for Blair just allowing him just to get close enough to make the move and take P6, and you can already see he's pulling away from the Alpine behind because he's almost broke the DRS gap already. Meanwhile, Parser the fight for third is becoming a fight for second because Parser has been caught up. I don't know if he's made a mistake this lap, but he's lost a second compared to the car in front, which is Daniel P1, and now Mike and Jacko are on the tail of the AlphaTauri driver.
Yeah, they are. I was just noticing that Mike is all over the back. Oh,
we've got a VSC.
And there's a VSC as well, yes,
it's
there
Paul.
is. It's our Paul has been there. It's turned into a full safety car, so we're going to see a lot of guys dive into the pit lane who haven't already. And is this going to help John Menzies out? How far back is he? He might help him out, John Menzies, you know, this.
It could. I think it helps the guys at the front more because they're going to lose less time in the pits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Because the rest of the field are going slower. Wilnut's in. We're going to expect everyone in, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone except John Menzies will be hitting the pit lane under this safety car that we've got for Paul binning it. So let's see where John Menzies is on the circuit. He's just coming through the reverse turn 8, turn 17, 18 currently. We'll just keep an eye out and see where he peels out. Mike Nood has jumped past her in the pit stops, so that's something to worry about as well. But Parsons jumped him back, so I'm guessing they were just in their boxes actually.
Yeah, yes, they were. Williams at the end, isn't it? So that's why it looked like Mike got ahead for a second.
John Menzies.
So where is Menzies?
Menzies on the main straight now, and he's gonna be.
He's lost out. He's just ahead of Joe.
He's lost 2 more places, so bit of a disastrous race for John Menzies. He started up in P2 and he's just gone backwards ever since. Meanwhile, let's have a quick rundown. We're at the halfway point of this race now. We've got Daniel P. Wheelnut leading from Parser in second. We've got Mike Noon in third, Jacko in fourth, Chris Johnson rounded out top 5. We've got Blair Grills in the McLaren in sixth, Dom Smith 7th, John Menzies, like we previously mentioned, pitted before this safety car, pitted a couple of laps earlier than everyone else and has lost out because of it, and he's just plummeted from his P2 starting place. He's in P8. We've got Sayer Sports in P9 and Bazza rounding out the top 10. Mr. John in 11th, Cena from the back of the grid still running in 12th place, Kaya in 13th, and Red Bull King rounding out the points in 14th, Indecisive Mackie and Mick Schumacher in 15th and 16th. So, time to have a little breather in this race. We're having a nice little battle there for brewing for P2, and now it could potentially be a battle for the win unless Daniel P. Wheelnut can do what he did before the safety car and just pull a gap on everyone.
Yeah, I feel like Wheelnut had a bit of time in hand. He was comfortably pinning away from the cars behind him. He'd already built a 4-second gap, but I don't really think he was pushing too hard. He wasn't full use on the battery, draining it to get away. It just seemed to be going at a comfortable pace for him. That just seemed to be a bit quicker than everyone else. One thing I am a bit curious about, I thought maybe with the safety car coming out, that Cena, obviously second of the championship, down to P12, I thought he may have considered a pit stop for the soft tyres for the latter half of the race. Just as an example, Bazza's done that. I think Bazza was on the medium to begin with. Bazza's P10 but on fresh softs. And the only other cars on softs at the moment is Mackie and Marco down at the back of the field. I thought, because Cena being low down, he had damage on lap 1, so if he stays out on the mediums, he's going to have done 13 laps on them by the end of this Grand Prix. Could he consider the soft tyres, or is he just going to stay out? Mr. John's decided to go for it. He's coming to the pits. But Cena stays out on the mediums, and that's a little bit interesting to me.
It is indeed. Meanwhile, we're going to give you a quick football update as Chelsea are already leading against Leeds, and it is 1-0 Chelsea as it stands. Meanwhile, the Leicester-Norwich game and the Watford-Everton game, that's a key game at the bottom of the table, is just kicking off now. Of course, Wolves Man City kicks off at 8:15. And that is your football update during the safety car. Brought to you by Credit One Bank.
It's just a weird moment with Kyle and Cena seem to change places and back again, so I think Cena may have just jumped a little forward, just past the... Yeah, okay, I see. Cena's just kind of giving Kyle the hurry up. It feels Kyle's not going quite quick enough, so nothing untoward going on there. Yeah, we'll just wait for the safety car to come in. I think it'll be in at the end of this lap. Both Red Bulls pitted for soft tyres under that safety car. Or Marco was just so far back that Mr. Johns managed to pit and get out ahead of him anyway. But you've got 4 cars on the softs, the rest are all on mediums. I feel Cena's missed a trick. I just feel like he could have pitted for the softs and had a charge back through the field at the end, because we know he's a quick driver. He's done it before where, you know, he's switched on the softs towards the end of the race and gone at a ridiculously fast rate of knots to smash some fastest times out, gain some positions. I thought he may have gone for it, but he's decided to stay out in P12. Maybe he's thinking, well, the cars in front aren't very quick anyway, quick compared to him anyway, so he should be able to get the next few with ease in his mind. But he could have given himself a bit of a... While he would have lost a couple of places, he would have lost places to some of the back markers, and I think he would have easily got past them on the softs anyway. But the safety car is on its way in now, so we are about to get underway, and Daniel P. Wilnut now controls the pace of the field as the safety car peels around the last few corners into the pits.
Yeah, he does. We're going to be riding on board with Passer, so we can see exactly the moment when Daniel P. Wilnut decides to go for it. He's currently warming his tyres up, ready to go through turns 17 and 18. Got a couple more corners to go. The safety car is just hitting the pit lane now, as I can see on my track map, as Daniel P. Wilnut, we're just waiting to see when he decides to put the throttle down and go for it. I think it will be on the exit of the last corner. That'll probably be the best point to do it. But that'd be the most predictable point as well. So is he going to wait a bit longer? No, he's got now. Yeah, right on the exit of the last corner, like I said he would. Mike Noon looking all over the back of Parser as well. Is Mike Noon going to look for a move on the inside? Or is Chris Johnson going to go down the inside of Jacko? No, he doesn't. No moves. Cena's got up in position further down the field, passing Kaya. But no position changes right at the top end. But Mike Noon is now all over the back of Parser.
Yeah, Passer kind of got caught napping a little bit by Wilnut, but that said, he's sticking with him now, so I don't think it's the best of restarts for Wilnut. Didn't quite get the pace. We've got a yellow flag. It's Kaya at the back of the field, so he should be able to get going again. But yeah, it looked like coming out the last corner, when Wilnut kind of got going, it looked like a couple of cars behind were caught out a little bit. Mike had a massive slide coming on the corner exit, but he's managed to keep that going. He's got the drop on Jacko, who's struggling with Chris Johnson. Mike's got the ERS going, he's got the battery at full power. He's going down the inside of the AlphaTauri here. The Alpha Passer tries to outbrake him, tries to hold it around the outside, but Mike makes the position, takes P2, and I think he'll be going after the lead now.
Yeah, he will be indeed. And Mike New, very strong move down the inside at turn number 12. Of course, no DRS yet on the restart either, so that was just purely on ERS and just outgunned him with the battery. But he's got the move done. He's up into P2, and he's now going to see if he can try and challenge Daniel P. Wilnut for the win in this race.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the battery levels. Despite the fact Mike was using all that ERS on the straight, he's got much more battery than the cars around him, so I reckon he's saved it at the restart when everyone else has gone for it, waited for them to stop using it and used it himself when it mattered to make the overtake. And it's very well thought out by the Williams driver. Obviously, numerous race wins in TGP2, and if you look to add to that collection here, and he has such a good run through the S's there compared to Wilnut. Visibly looks quicker, but he's run a bit wide there. Obviously no DRS yet, so he will not be able to use DRS down this straight. And Wilnut, much cleaner in the second part of the S's, has allowed himself to nearly break that DRS gap.
Well,
and Passer's still there as well, so this could be interesting.
Yeah, Passer's looking for a move on the back straight. He's going to not have DRS open, but he's going to be using hers. He's going to be looking to the inside, down turn number 12. I presume Mike's using it as well in the Williams. He's going to be up the inside. He's going to outbrake him, and he's going to get the position back. And Passer is back into P2. Mike Noon back down to P3. So, role reversal as we go into the final few laps of the Grand Prix here at the Circuit of the Americas.
This helps Wilnut though. Then the two cars behind him battling allows him just to break that DRS, that 1 second DRS barrier, and just getting some clear. And Mike's going round.
It's round. He's just about saved that. Wow, what a save from Mike Noon. He's lost 4 places, but it's better than ended up in the barrier, so he'll probably take it. And yeah, DRS is a nail build this time round. But what a save by Mike in the Williams.
He's going to be absolutely raging with himself for making a mistake in the first place, but I think he'll look back on that save and think, yeah, that's a job well done. I don't know how he's kept it out the barrier there, because that car was going round. He's managed to straighten it back up and get it going again. He's lost a few places, but he's not exactly out of touch with that lead group. He's on the back of it still. Knowing Mike, he will just be charging through.
Oh, he's just
but
picked
that
up a
leads to
penalty.
mistakes, and that's it, the penalty. Almost obligatory free kick penalty for Mike Newman there. He's just going full pelt at this point. Screw the penalties. He's just going as quick as he can to make as many places as possible.
Well, he's going to be on the back of Blair Grills and trying to maintain and position as he goes through. Turn number 11 gets a little bit of wheel spin on the exit, and that's going to hamper his run down this back straight. He's going to be stuck in the DRS of Blair Grills. I don't think he's going to be close enough to realistically make a move further down the field. We've got Bazza, and John Bazza is actually looking at the back, so it's getting very tight in this battle. There's this train forming. I'd say behind Chris Johnson is probably the best person to say this train is forming behind at the moment. This train is just forming behind the battle for P4.
Yeah, Chris is trying his best to hold on to the fight for second between Pastor and Jacko. Jacko making his way back to the gearbox of the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, the gap between first and second is right on the cusp of that DRS. It's just dipping over then under. It's fluctuating wildly just under the second, then over, back under. At the detection point, it was over. By the activation, it was under. We've got a yellow flag again. It's Kaya again spinning round. He's at the back of the field. And yeah, you're right. It is becoming a bit of a train behind Chris Johnson in P4.
Yeah, it is indeed. But of course, if the first one can't get past, then it's a struggle for everyone else. That's the way the DRS trains work in real life, and that's the way they work in the game. As a 3-second penalty has been picked up by Bear Grylls. So Chris Johnson's actually the only one in this train that hasn't got a 3-second penalty either.
Yeah, and I think he might be in a position that if every single car in this train passed him, he'd still be fourth because of the penalties, because of how close they all are.
Yeah, it's looking very good for Chris Johnson to retain that P4 despite having a train behind him on the road. Is Blair Grills getting he got quite a poor exit there, Blair Grills, so I don't think he's going to be able to challenge. Meanwhile, further back, Bazza is looking all over the back of Dom Smith. He's using the overtake. Dom Smith got the move. Jacko is passing Parza as well further up the field. I'll switch to that. They're side by side. They're wheel bagging as they go through turn number 13 and 14. And I think Parza's just about going to hold on. He's going to push Jacko to the outside. Jacko switches to the inside into 15 and 16. They're still wheel bagging on the exit, and Parza's just about held on through that section of corners. Meanwhile, Bazza passed Dom as well further down the field.
Yeah, it has, but well, it's done those two battling. It's let Chris Johnson right back in. That train of cars is now all together. It's one big train now for P2 downwards.
Yeah, it is indeed. The DRS is wide open for Jacko on the Ferrari on the penultimate lap of the race. He's going to be looking for the inside move down the inside at turn number 1. He's going to try and get the move done this time. Passer's going to hang it round the outside. Is Jacko going to give him the space? No, not really. And Chris Johnson's going to mug the pair of them off. And Blair Grills as well. Yeah, that was poor driving. There's Mike Jacko side by side. Oh, this is still getting very tasty in the battle, and Chris Johnson must be laughing in his helmet as he goes up to P2 thanks to the wheel banning from Jacko and Passer. But Passer, the big loser there, drops all the way down to P number 6.
Yeah, just trying so hard to hold on to P2 that ultimately he's let 4 cars pass him. Jacko's going down the inside of Blair Grills there. That's a brave move.
Yeah,
Passer's just dived in on Mike as well. He's going to take back P5. Blair Grills going to have, well, everyone's got DRS except for Chris Johnson. And Chris Johnson's actually pulling away very quickly as well.
Yeah, Mike Noon on the is Jacko, but passes down the inside of Mike Noon. Oh my God, this is going to get very tasty on the exit between the McLaren, the Williams and the AlphaTauri. Doesn't quite. Mike Noon sticking it back up the inside of Passer, forcing him to the curve. And now that's Bazza looking to the outside of Passer. So it's all getting very spicy in this midfield scrap.
2nd to 11th are all together now on the circuit. There's literally 4 seconds separating Chris in 2nd and Cedar in 11th. It's that close. Yeah,
and the key thing to mention as well is Bazza is on the soft tyres. So this could be very good for Bazza on his soft tyres, and he's right on the back of the train for P2. Getting very spicy as we're on the final lap of the race. Daniel P. Wheelnut's got a 4-second lead, and he must be just laughing his way down the road as he speaks.
Oh, this contact! Passer's round!
Passer is round indeed. It's all getting very hairy and scary. Everyone taking avoiding action, trying to break up that battle a bit. And Dom Smith is stuck up in P6, and Bazza's all the way down to P9. So it's definitely contact between Parser and Bazza.
It looked like Parser hit the back of the car in front of him, and then Bazza's got into the back of Parser. Bazza's broken his wing in the process, and then Parser went round, half spun it. Bazza kind of pushed him back the right way, but a whole number of cars have got through. Meanwhile, the fight for second is going down to the final DRS straight at least. Chris 6 tenths clear on Jacko, half a second clear of Blair Girls, who's 3 tenths clear on Mike.
Well, the podium, I think, no matter what, will be Chris Johnson and Jacko. It's just which order those two drivers end up in is the way it stands at the moment. Daniel P. Wilner, 3.5 seconds up the road. He's only got a few more corners to secure another victory for himself this season. So the battle with P2 is getting very exciting. Is Jacko going to go for a dive into 15 and 16? No, not quite. Tyre is out the race on the final lap. So that's a disappointing performance for the other Mercedes. But meanwhile, with a couple corners to go, Daniel P. Wilner, P9, turns round P9 to turn 19 and turn 20. He's going to win the race at COTA. Runs round 11 of TGP2 season 31. Chris Johnson is just about going to hold off Jacko for P number 2. Jacko in P3, Blair Grills in P4, Mike Noon P5, Parser passes a lot of them and ends up in P4. After all of that, Parser still finishes P4 on the road. Wow.
P7 for Don. Sayer Sports quietly worked his way up to P8. Cena from the back of the grid takes P9. John Menzies takes the last position in the top 10 ahead of Indecisive Mackie in 11th. Bazza, after contact at last lap and 2 time penalties, finishes only P12. Mr. John P13. Red Bull Kim, I believe, just takes the last point ahead of Marco, and that's your 15 finishes there for the US Grand Prix. But it's another win for our championship leader. Cena, second to the championship, gets driver of the day, but that is a massive win for Daniel P. Wilner.
It is indeed great victory for the Mercedes driver, extending his championship lead as well over Cena, who had a poor race, and Dom as well. Both finishing outside the top 6, those two drivers, meaning that Daniel P. Wilner has got a comfortable mark. He's almost got a race victory, if not a race victory, over his nearest rival now.
And not only that, I think he led every lap from pole, won the race, fastest lap. That is a grand slam for our championship leader.
Very impressive performance indeed. So here is the full rundown of the results. Daniel P. Wilner takes the victory for Mercedes. Started on pole, fastest lap like you said, led every lap and got the victory. Followed by Chris Johnson in second. Decent performance from him, being very clean and tidy and getting on the podium. Jacko in third. Then we've got Parser in fourth, Blair Grills in fifth, Mike Noon in sixth. Then we got Dom Smith in seventh, Sayer Sports in eighth, Cena in ninth, and John Menzies rounded out the top 10 after starting P2. Kind of a disappointing performance considering his qualifying position. Then we got Mackie in 11th, Bazza in 12th, Mr. John in 13th, and Red Bull Kim rounding out the points. So that was the end of USA, and we've still got another race to go tonight, Sean.
Yeah, from the US we go south of the border down to Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Fairly similar in some ways, in terms of, you've got the high speed S's like section in the middle sector, you've got a couple of slow corners, some long straights, but it's going to be interesting to see Mexico. Very, very easy in Mexico to get penalties for track limits, probably one of the strictest on the calendar, so that could be a deciding factor in the race.
Well, we found it was a deciding factor in Austin, and it for the podium places. You're going to say something? Sorry,
yeah, I was just looking back. So I said Red Bull Kim got the last position in the points from Marco, which he did, P14, P15. You take away Marco's 9-second penalty that he got, he beat Red Bull Kim to the line by 1/1000th of a second.
Wow, that is very close margins here in TGP2, even all the way down the field for the final points. But Red Bull Kim picking up that final point for the Haas team. As we get ready to go for round 12 of the season, the Mexican Grand Prix at the Mexico City circuit, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So It's all going from bad to worse in the Leeds versus Chelsea game, as Daniel James has been sent off as well, and they're 1-0 down. So not a good day. Kovacic has also gone off injured for Chelsea. So that's not what they need ahead of the FA Cup final this weekend. Meanwhile, in the other two games that have kicked off, it is still 0-0 as it stands. So getting ready to go here. Round 12, drivers picking their tyres. I don't know why this is still an option on the game, to be honest, because since, 2020, everyone's had the same sets of tyres anyway. So it's just a bit of a waste of a screen.
Yeah, and a few people still take their time to decide between all of one option.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a very difficult decision you've got to make, picking that whole one option. It's like writing your name on a test paper. So difficult.
But here we are then. It looks like we are finally underway here for the Mexico Grand Prix.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for the drivers to come out in this 18-minute session round the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. It is a 17-turn circuit here, and it is, let's have a look at the distance. Yeah, 17-turn circuit, and it is 2.6 miles. Lap record in real life is a 1 minute 17.7 by Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes W12. That was last season's car. So getting ready to go here in this qualifying session. Who is going to be the first driver out in this session? That is the interesting one, and it's Mike Noon in the Williams, so he'll be the first car out on circuit. We've got Haas behind him as well. So a few drivers out on circuit very early doors, ready to put a banker lap in this session. So Mike Noon on his out lap, warming the tyres up, warming the car up. There's about 5-6 drivers out on their out laps already, all quite close together, but Mike gets the clean air, as I'm guessing that's by virtue of being the last team in the pit lane as well, Williams. Oh, and he spun on his out lap. That's embarrassing.
Well, we managed to save it in Austin. He didn't save it there, did he?
No. Does that mean Red Bull Kim is the first car on the circuit? So that's a development as it stands. As he goes wide on the exit of the S's, is the Alfa Romeo going to be the car behind? It's not going to start right behind him. So Red Bull Kim is taking some lines, I think is one way of putting it. So I think we'll ride on board with John Menzies as he starts this qualifying lap. Got P2 in Austin, so decent qualifier John Menzies, but he had a poor race. So take us for a lap around this circuit, Sean.
Yes, coming out the stadium section around the last corner onto the main straight, very, very, very long straight. Probably some of the highest speeds you've got in an F1 season. Opens the DRS, just running down towards the first chicane. As you just wait on the full power. You find your braking zone, about 100 metres, turn right. Then you've got a quick left, slow left that comes quickly, then a right. Don't want to take too much curb on the exit there and run wide. Open the DRS again and down another DRS straight before the next set of corners. Another tight or left-hander that follows up into a right. And then just a short little reprieve on the tyres until you get here. Double right-hander. Nails that pretty well, gets it good on the exit. And then you've got these very fast flowing corners, a left, then right, then left again. You don't want to take too much curb, it can unset the car and spin it. You don't want to take too much there because you can cut the corner like that. That's an invalidation for John as he backs off on what is the third DRS straight. Then you come into the stadium section, which is the right into the tight left-hander before the final two corners through the stadium pretty much. And I always forget the name of the last one, but you probably know it better than me. And then you make your way round to the line. Menzies going round to the pits to get off these tyres that he's wasted by invalidating. Only Red Bull Kim for the first time on the board then. Other cars are coming through.
The Cena's going to be the next one to set a lap time, and that's a much more representative lap time than Red Bull Kim. It's a 16 dead. That is a very strong lap time to begin this session by Cena. Of course, I spotted Daniel P. Wheelner also invalidated his first run. So I'm guessing he's either fueled up for a couple runs or is boxed. So only 3 drivers have set lap times early on in this session. So not good. Very, like you said earlier, very difficult track on track limits, and the drivers are really struggling early on, aren't they, Sean?
Yeah, I think out of everyone that's done a lap, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 9 cars have crossed the line so far, having done a flying lap. Plus Menzies who pitted, so that's 10. Only 4 of them have said a lap time. 3 of them are representative, because Jacko's done a 1:36 and is going again, so he's backed off early on. That kind of shows you just how tricky it is to get a lap together here, as Dom takes P2. He's 6 tenths down of Cena though.
Okay, well, oh, there it is. My game was glitching out there because it was saying that indecisive Mackie was Dom Smith for a minute there.
We do have a Haas in the barrier at the last corner at Triple Kim, and he's in a very awkward position. Daniel P. Wilner, I think, lost time, and Jacko's out of the session. Jacko has crashed, I believe, in Sector 3.
Yes, he has. He has coming out of the end of the S's section is where he's binned it. So that's not good. Everyone's starting to get some lap times on the board now. Daniel P. Werner going up to P5, but Mike Noon is the current pole setter, 15.7, and he's put himself on pole by about 3 tenths. So it's a very strong run there. Passers going for another flying lap in the AlphaTauri, and let's see how he gets on as he heads towards turns 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, just trying to find Passer there. I was just having a bit of trouble finding him, but
he's the first guy that hasn't set a lap yet.
Yeah, it's looking like he set a tidy first few corners. He's got his ERS charged up, so it is a first lap for him. 28.8 in Sector 1 compared to Mike Noon. He is half a second down in the first sector alone. Mike's done a 28.3, passed through 28.8. So, more of a banker lap, I imagine, for the AlphaTauri driver. A 28.0 was set in the second sector by Mike. Passer's just coming to the end of it now. It's so easy to just invalidate like Passer has just done there. So this lap's going to be counted for nothing as well. And again, he was half a second down in the middle sector compared to Mike. So already he would have been looking at, even that, if he just maintained a decent last sector, would have put him around 4th or 5th. So that just shows you just how strong a lap Mike has set, that even a second off will put you challenging the second row at the moment. So it's really set a strong target for the field to chase down.
He has indeed. As we see, John Menzies, I think he's on he's on a slow lap, so there's no point following him. So there's a bit of a lull in the session now. Sayers on an in lap. Kaya, I think, is on a flying lap, so let's watch him as he heads towards the Essex section. Yes, he is. Looking at his speed going into this run, he's definitely on a flyer. Can he improve on his 18.8 and put him a little bit further up the field? Gets through that section nicely. No corner cuts as well, which is good to see as he ends that sector, and he's half a second up on his previous best, so that's a decent gain, and I'll probably move him up a position as it stands.
Yeah, Kaya not one of the fastest guys. He has got a podium though. He got a podium last season in Zandvoort, but he's going to be looking at improving his 1 lap pace, because it lacks a little bit compared to some of the others. He does improve, but not by much, over 20 thousandths. Does keep a P8 for now though, and he's going to be hoping for a little bit more improvement on his next run. Looking at the tyre indication, I don't think he's actually pitted yet. So he needs to just get in the garage, get a new set of softs on, and just go for it again and see if he can catch Mackie in front of him.
He will. Meanwhile, I think the first person out is Dom Smith. I think will be the first person to start a flying lap. So let's try this again with a full hot lap on someone, and hopefully Dom doesn't invalidate it like some of the other drivers as he comes round the perils harder and to fling himself onto the main straight. Very long straight. It's over a kilometre long as he heads down this main straight up the gears, and he's just sitting there in 8 DRS wide open, heading towards turns 1 and 2, John.
Yeah, heading towards turns 1 and 2. Just a yellow flag out there. There's a Red Bull going very slowly. That's Marco. That won't distract Dom. He's out of the way.
Well, you say it won't distract Dom. It was very close to the racing line where he was, though.
Yeah, it looked a bit better on my screen than it might have been. But Dom keeping his foot down. He's apparently purple at 6-1. I don't know if that is the case, but he's improving on his previous best. Coming through the middle sector now Let's just have a quick look at his sector time compared, and yeah, I can tell you that it's just an error on the screen. He's 4 tenths off Mike going by the 6 times. He's run wide because there is a yellow flag in front. Blair Grills has spun, and in front of that, Bazza, who was also on a flying lap, has crashed in the same place as his teammate.
Yeah, so that's not a good end to the run there for Dom Smith. Meanwhile, Daniel P. Wheelnut 2.5 tenths up on his previous best as he goes through this tight section at the top of the circuit through turns 4, 5 and 6, and now he heads towards the S's section, starting with turn number 7.
Yeah, 3, 7 and 8 into 9. I tell you what, is looking like a good lap for Wheelnut. It comes through the end of sector 2, keeps it within the white line, so there's no validation. Another quick sector, he's 6 tenths to the good. Based on that, he needs to find a half second for this last sector though. Mike has just set such a good lap in general for a first run that a lot of drivers struggling to get close to it, but Wilmot's on for a good one here as he comes around the last corner. It takes P2,
gone within 2 tenths, yeah.
Yeah, it's quarter of a second down still, but there's still time to do one more run, and I'm sure Wilmot will put it all on the line when it matters, but like we said, it's just such a good early lap that it's going to take some beating. Paul McGuinness, meanwhile, disappointing race in Austin, crashing out and causing the safety car of the spinning off in the S's. He's P6 at the moment, having just set that time. So he's back towards the sharp end of the grid. Just looking around to see if anyone else is on a lap.
Dom's on a lap. He's gone for a second flying lap, Dom, in P5, currently in his Alpine, going through the stadium section of 13, 14, 15, 16, and then flinging himself out of the stadium onto the Beraldada. Not as long as it used to be back in the 90s. It's split in half because of the stadium section, but he does improve his lap time and goes up into P4.
Yeah, but Blair Grill's just come around just behind him as well. He's gone P7 in the McLaren, so decent work there from the sole McLaren at the moment. Marco takes P10. Stays P10 rather. Menzies beginning a lap now then as well. Just going to look around just to see if anyone's
Cena's on a lap as well. He's 2 tenths up on his previous best. Is the Red Bull going to get out of the way? Yes, it does. Cena, currently P3, was second in the championship going into tonight. Had a poor race in Austin, only finished down in P9. So he wants to get a better result here in Mexico and try and make damage limitation for the night. He picks up a 15.9 and he goes up into P2.
Yep. Crucially, 6 Velds ahead of his title rival, Daniel Peel Wilnut. I do believe the gap is currently at around 30 or 31 points after the Austin race. I do believe it's 31, Cena having scored 6 points to Wilnut's 26. Crucially for Cena, he's still ahead of Dom in the championship. Dom didn't have too great a race either. Jacko closed in on Dom, but he's still P4. And currently finds himself 14th on the grid because he's out the session, passes out the session, so is Bazza.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if anyone's on a flying lap, and there's no one currently on a flying lap by the looks of it. Maybe Kaya.
Yeah. That's the third Ferrari-powered car to have crashed in that corner, though, with John Menzies retiring there in the Alfa Romeo. He was down in 13th. He's had a poor session. Kaya just come around the last corner now. Does improve again by 10th. He will be at worst 12th on the grid. The only person that can beat him now is Rebel Kim. Mr. John could, but I think he's going to do the pit tactic and sit at the back of the grid as he likes to do. Meanwhile, Daniel Poole out on an out lap. Sayed Sports just coming into the pits now. He's just finishing a run. And then you just got Kaya Red Bull Kim. I'll tell you what, Red Bull Kim is on an improvement. He's a 10th lap it through sector 2. He's coming to the line now. And he will miss out on improvement and stays P12. And there's just this little lull before the final runs. Although Daniel Peel will not seem to be taking the soft cop approach and starting your run a few minutes earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, he is. He's on an out lap. He's going to be starting a flying lap any second now. So he's going to have, well, looks of it, a lot of clear track in front of him as he gets onto his run. Currently the championship leader in this race as he goes onto the Peltada. Now I think everyone is starting to pile out of the pit lane, ready to go for their final run.
Yeah, he's got the Red Bull of Marco, the Alpine of Mackie just coming out the pit lane now, so hopefully they realise and get out of the way. It's going to have Dom just further up, and then Blair Grills, and then Paul McGuinness, who's just at the lead of the cars that have come out of pits. Marco pretty much realises it last minute, gets out of the way. Will Nut is getting through sector 1 so far, keeps it just about within the lines. Going to get a little bit of slipstream off the Alpine there. Can he improve in sector 1? No, it's a quarter of a second down already, so this lap might be looking like it's a bit...
It looks like it's got a bit overcast towards the end of this session as well, which probably means the temperature may not just be in there in the tyres, so we'll have to see if anyone actually does improve as the weather comes in here at Mexico.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark, you are right. And it's come over pretty quickly as well. Daniel Pilnat still pushing on. I think he is backing off a bit. He's half a second down, and yeah, he's backed it off. I think he might just do a slow lap, pit in. A slow lap, then a push lap. Sorry, he might pit in. I think he's got just enough time to do so if he's still got one more set of tyres. As he comes round the last corner,
he'd be cutting it fine if he'd be cutting it fine if he pitted. To be honest, so I don't think it's worth the risk. He's gonna go straight back on it now though. He's still one of the only drivers actually out on a flying lap. Mike is only just coming out the pit lane now, same with Cena and Dom Smith, as Dom Smith actually is just behind him starting a flying lap. So let's have a look at the Alpine driver as he heads down the straight. We've got Daniel P. Wheelnut just in front of him. Daniel P. Wheelnut coming out of turn number 3. DRS wide open. Is he going to have a better sector 1 this time round?
Yeah, we'll see how he does. Sector 1, it's still a 10 for the bit down, so it's a little quicker than the previous lap, but not as good as his best. Keep an eye on Blair Grills. He's improved in sector 1 just further up the road, and Paul McGuinness is on the lap as well in P6. Blair Grills looks like he's backed off. Yep, he's 6 steps down, and Paul's going round, and that's the full Ferrari powered car to spot that corner. Both Alphas, both Ferraris. Hopefully that doesn't get him Daniel Quill, and that's why he keeps his foot down, and he's only 800ths down off his best, so let's see if he can improve in the final sector as he comes around the stadium section. Now takes a bit too much curve. That's invalidation. That's his session done.
Dom's invalidated as well further back, so it's just down to Cena now to challenge Mike Noon by the looks of it. As Cena coming into the stadium section, he's about a tenth up. He needs to find 2.5 tenths really to get onto that pole position. So is he going to find that in this last sector? Coming onto the Perils Harder, flinging himself onto the main straight. Is he going to find the time he needs? He's gone quicker, but not enough. He's only gained about 2 tenths, and Mike Noon has invalidated the lap. So I think that might be the end of this qualifying session. We'll have to see what Blair's doing. He's currently a tenth and a half up.
Dom, I think, is pushing again, so he's got one more lap in him. He is pushing, he is fueled.
That's a big slide from Blair Grills. He's lost it in the S's section, so that's the end of his qualifying. So Dom is currently 20 thousandths quicker than what he was previously doing, but that's not going to be enough to gain him end positions as it stands.
Maybe it's a little wide as well. Cena's backed off, he's 5 seconds down. Mike might have time for one more, but I don't think he's really going to go for it. Red Bull Kim's decided to get intermediates on in the pit lane. I don't think it's quite raining. Dom's out. He's had an accident, he's off. So his session's done as well.
Mike is just starting a flying lap actually, so Mike's trying to improve. I think he's basically got pole now in the bag. So, and he's invalidated, so that's Mike done. So Chris Johnson maybe could improve, but I don't think he'll be challenging for pole.
And he's ever so slightly up, ever so slightly down in sector 1. Does have a bit of a clear track. He's got a Red Bull in front. Hope that gets out of the way. It's not really nailing the lines through the middle sector here. He's got a round deep. Doesn't invalidate surprisingly, but he has backed off. He's 6 steps down.
Goes running to the back of Mick Schumacher, and he's given Mick a 5 place grid penalty. So yeah, that's a bit dodgy there from Joe, to be honest, that one.
Oh dear.
And yeah, but that is the end of this session. So Mike Noon has secured pole. The Williams driver, with his very first run of the session, does enough to get pole position. No one else could really get close until the very end with Cena, but it still wasn't close enough.
Yeah, it's very rare to have a lap just stay up top from the beginning of the session. Normally, particularly in TGP2, you see numerous drivers set faster times the session goes on, it kind of ramps up and up. But Mike just got up there, smashed it first lap, and called it a day pretty much. Just waiting for Mackie, who's still cruising around the circuit, but he's not on a lap. He just hasn't got to the line yet, so we await the end of qualifying. But yeah, a dominant session from Mike Noon there, and you know, he's invalidated the rest of his laps, but at the points where he had invalidated, he was good for setting as close to or slightly quicker than the time he already set. So it wasn't some lucky wonder lap. It was just that was genuinely his performance in the session. And yes, you know, the only one close. Daniel P won that a couple of attempts off that. But you know, only the top 5 are within a second, and that's pretty rare for TGP2. You don't normally get that a lot. You get quite a lot of drivers close together, a few tenths separate the top 5 or 6 guys, but here a full second kind of shows you the scale of how strong the lap was.
Yeah, it does indeed. So that is the end of this qualifying session, and Mike Noon on pole for the Williams team gets pole position. AlphaTauri second with Cena, then you got Daniel P. Wilnut, championship leader, in third, Dom Smith in fourth, Chris Johnson in fifth, Paul McGee in sixth, and Blair Grill seventh. Joe Sayer in Sayer Sports for the other Aston Martin, P8, and then Mick Schumacher with that 5th place grid pelt. He's qualified P9, but he's going to end up starting down in 14th for something that really isn't his fault, to be honest, so I'll be very annoyed if I was him. Indecisive Mackie in 10th, then we've got Kaya in 11th, Red Bull Kim in 12th, John in 13th, Jacko in 14th, very poor qualifying for him. And they've got Parser, Mr. John and Bazza starting at the back as well. Meanwhile, quick football update. It's currently 1-0 Man City as Kevin De Bruyne has scored in the 7th minute. So congratulations on the title. So getting ready to go for round 12 here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the 2.4 mile circuit in Mexico City. 17 turns the drivers have to complete round, and it's 18 laps I believe this race, so gonna be a very demanding one for the drivers, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. It does increase the chance of drivers making a little mistake, having a race-ending crash. We've seen a few in qualifying already. Looks brighter now than it did at the end of qualifying, though. There is a bit of a grey cloud overhead, but we'll see if there's any chance of rain as the race progresses. But we are about to get underway then for the Mexico Grand Prix.
Yeah, so we're getting ready. 3, 4, 5 lights are on here in Mexico City, and it's lights out and away we go. And it looks like a very strong start again from Mike on pole position. Cena having to slot in behind, and they all funnel into the train. Mike going very defensive because it's a very long run down to turn 1 here at Mexico City, but I think he's just about held on for the time being. Yes, he has. Cena's going to try and go around the outside of Wilnut, and Wilnut is going to have to defend off from Dom Smith there, but Mike has held on to lead for the time being. Chris Johnson up into 4th, Dom Smith down to 5th. I think he got a little bit pinched on the curve there by Daniel P. Wilnut, but Mike Noon leads at the end of sector 1.
Yeah, another clean start, so they've all run on the run down to turn 1 and haven't been hit. Meanwhile, position-wise, very good start from Parser. The AlphaTauris just seem to have a habit of getting off the line well. 6 places gained from Parser from 15th to 9th. Baz has gone from 17th to 11th. Jacko's gone from 13th to 10th. So good start for the 3 guys that really could have been higher up in qualifying than they were. Bad starts from Mackie and Kaya, who are down 7 places. Meanwhile, the top 8 pretty much where they started, with exception of Chris Johnson passing Dom for 4th. So the top half of the field's pretty much lying astern as they were, but further back in the midfield, towards the back of the field, they have been playing about, swapping places left, right and centre. Already a penalty, time penalty for Mr. John, I believe.
Meanwhile, Cena is closing in on the back of Mike Noon. He's currently 3 tenths behind at the end of lap 1, so Mike Noon not able to do what Will did last race and go off into the distance at the start. Meanwhile, Blair Grills and Paul McGee side by side going towards turn 1, and Blair Grills has got the position and it's up into P6. Parser up into P8, passing Sayer Sports. So a few moves heading on further down the field now, but the real, I'd say, key battle point at the moment is probably the queue that is starting to form behind Daniel P. Wilnut, of all people. Championship leaders getting a queue behind him early on in this race.
Yeah, when I was just watching pass. He was having a look at the inside of Paul, couldn't quite make the move, and then Say Sports had a look at the inside of Passer. It's worth putting up Passer as well with the soft tyres, and the start to the back of the grid. He's on the soft tyres. Same for
Baz has made a mistake
Baz,
somewhere.
Yeah, he's made a mistake. He's one of the 4 drivers who started on the mediums. The others being Kaya, John Menzies, and Mackie. Penalty for Paul for track limits. I told you it's very easy to get the track limit penalties here. Paul is slowing down as well. He's backed off and let a few cars through. Does he have some damage? Did he make a mistake? I'm not too sure. The time penalty coming up suggests he probably did make a bit of a mistake. He just wanted to get out of the way. Maybe he felt he gained an unfair advantage, but he's still going in P10. Fast as that for Cena, holding on to the back of Mike here, but they are quickly breaking away from the championship leader in 3rd.
They are indeed. They've broken away from Daniel P. Wilner. Also, Blair Grills has got past Dom Smith in the middle sector, so Dom must have had a very poor middle sector. He's still all over the back of Blair. Maybe he made a mistake. Very easy to make a mistake in that long section of corners, to be fair. So that's probably what happened there. As Daniel P. Wilner's actually starting to claw back in now on the 2 guys in front of him, as we can ride on board with the Mercedes driver going through this technical section at the top of the circuit, round turn 6. And heading towards the Essex section, and he's definitely on the back of this train now. And so it's a battle for 1, 2 and 3. That is what we like to see in TGP2.
Yes, indeed. Maybe Wilmot was just waiting, holding back a little bit, just, wait to get into the zone, get into his comfort zone, and then just started to push. And I'll tell you what, Dom must be sick of the sight of the back of that McLaren. He's going to be able to tell every single detail of that rear wing by the end of this, because it's the 2nd race in a row that Blair Grills is right in front of him, and he's unable to get the move done on him.
Yeah, it is. DRS is enabled this lap, so is the leader change going to be anything? Cena's going to have the DRS wide open. I think he's just about too far back to realistically make a move here, and no one really close enough, I'd say, to make a move, as Paul McGee has binned it in the 2nd sector. And is that going to be a safety car in this race? We'll find out very shortly. He's on his own. I think we might get away without having a safety car. As meanwhile, Daniel P. Wilner is actually all over the back of Cena now. Just 4 attempts between the 2 drivers as they head towards the end of sector 1, but I don't think there's going to be any moves this time.
Yeah, Mexico being one of the tracks where the first detection zone is after the start line, so at the start of the lap they get DRS. That said, it's lap 4 anyway. Didn't actually realise that. Yeah, Paul went off on his own. It is possible that he might have caught the curb, which just sent the car around on him, but he was so far off the circuit anyway that they decided that a safety car on VSC was not necessary. Cena ran a bit wide on the exit of the SS there. He's got DRS though still. Only lost to Mike Noon. But Mike having a lot, I always look at the ERS energy available just to see who pushes hard early on, who holds it in conservation and has it available to him at the end. Someone who doesn't save it at all is Cena. He's got 20% left. Mike, until he just started to use his overtake, had 80%. So definite divergent strategies in terms of ERS deployment rate, but Mike, with the ERS in hand, is able to just use that just to stay ahead for the time being and keep the gap.
He is indeed. Daniel Pete Wilnut is running 3rd and Cena's still running 2nd. I think Mike might be running a bit more downforce, I want to say, because he keeps pulling he pulls about 2-3 temps in that middle sector on both Cena and Daniel P. Wilnut. Maybe it's down to the dirty air though, so it could be a number of factors, but that's my theory. He's running a bit more downforce and it's just helping him out in that middle sector, gain the gap on the 2 drivers behind him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. He gained about a tenth or so there, down the DRS straight. Obviously DRS is helping Cena, but it just seems to close in very quickly on the Williams. I'm just wondering, is Mike starting to struggle a bit on his tyres, because the tyre wear here is pretty high for, especially on soft tyres. They wear out very quickly, and I just wonder if Mike was just nursing it a little bit that time round. But down this DRS straight here, didn't really lose anything at the start of the straight. It's only towards the end of the straight that Cena starts to close in. So even if Mike's got a bit more wing set up for the middle sector. He's got good line speed as well, so he's found the perfect compromise to be strong everywhere here.
Meanwhile, further down the field, Dom has overtaken Blair Grills, and there's definitely something heating up as Jacko is looking to the inside of Parser. Parser with a DRS wide open. Is Jacko going to make a move up the inside turn number 4? Not quite, but it's getting very tasty in the battle for P5 as things have just been brewing nicely at the front, but no moves actually been made yet further up the field, and it's getting very tasty. Moves are happening further down in that battle for P6. Jacko all over the back of Parser as they go into the S's section.
Yeah, and remember Parser, and that's Dom off with the ball. He's out of the race. It is a safety car as well.
Yeah, it's a safety car, so Dom is out, and that's surely same thing as last race. Everyone has got to come bundling into the pit lane. So Mike Noon heading towards the pit lane, surely. His tyres must be starting to go, and yep, he's in. Passes in, yeah, everyone's coming in. That's not really a surprise considering the timing.
He's sped in the pits. Mike has sped in the pits.
Oh no, Mike, that is poor. That is poor form from Mike Noon. He's potentially cost himself the race win there.
Oh, that was a bit clumsy of him, wasn't it?
It was indeed. So, has any drivers stayed out? No, I think everyone's just come bundling into the pit lane. Yes, they have.
Bazza stayed out.
Baz has stayed out. I'm guessing he started on the mediums.
And he's just... Yeah, I'm sorry, to me, will not just beat him to that. He's got to give the place back, yeah. He just got beat to the safety car line by Daniel Peele on that. So the Mercedes will get the position. But Bazza, yeah, on the alternate strategy.
Yeah, so the top 3 are still going to be all together under this safety car. So Dom having an unfortunate day there. He was running up in P5, just overtaken Blair Grills and then bins it in the S's. But luckily for him, he can go back to play Gran Turismo 7 if he wants to now. So it's probably not such a loss for him, let's be honest.
Yeah, I think we can all say that Gran Turismo 7 is a lot of fun and can easily spend hours on that. I think we're both kind of we're both the sort of people that will spend quite a while on that game because we've had a lot of fun in it, racing away, getting the money, getting the cars and everything. But here in Mexico, there's a number of cars that you can't get on Gran Turismo 7, and these are the Formula 1 cars that are currently stuck behind the Mercedes safety car that you can get in Gran Turismo 7. But it's Mike in the lead still with that 5-second penalty for speed in the pit lane, and he is going to be ruining that mistake in the pit entry. There is no pressure on him. You're under a safety car. The cars behind can't just dive past you on the way into the pits, and yeah, he's just gone in too quick, and that is massively costly for the Williams driver. So the net leader now is Cena with Daniel Peele in third. Bazza yet to pit is 4th ahead of Chris Johnson in 5th. Blair Grills P6 ahead of Passer in 7th. Jack in P8. Passer and Jack are going to be the ones to watch. Remember, in Austin they were battling the hell out of each other, and this could be round 2 for the 2 of them. I'm not going to say the inevitable joke that most would say there. Say Sports P9. Kaya P10, started P10, still P10, yet to pit low. Mr. John P11 has pitted. Mackie P12 yet to pit. All might have pitted actually, but Red Bull Kim is P13 in the points again. Marco has got a penalty for speed in the pit lane now as well, and he loses the final point to to John Menzies, who's pitted the lap before onto soft tyres, and he's P14 at the moment.
Yep, so that is your rundown of the field, and the rundown of the football is at half-time in Leeds Chelsea. It's currently 1-0 Chelsea. Leeds, of course, down to 10 men thanks to Daniel James getting sent off. Half-time in the Leicester Norwich game, that is 0-0. Half-time in Watford Everton, the clash at the bottom of the table, that is currently 0-0, and it's currently 2-1 to Man City after 21 minutes. Kevin De Bruyne got a second at the 16th minute, but not before the Wolves got an equaliser with Dendoncker here at lap number 8 of the Mexico Grand Prix in TGP2. Meanwhile, we are getting ready to hopefully get going in this lap, I'd say, for this safety car, John.
Yeah, I'm expecting it in at the end of this lap. Yeah, we're coming to the safety car line now. The safety car in line, obviously, is always the end of sector 2. And there you are, the lights are off. The Mercedes, AMG, GT safety car will now shoot off into the distance from the front runners as Mike controls the field and will try and get the jump on Cena and Wilmot on this restart. It's going to be interesting to see if he can make that 5-second gap. It's going to be a tall order for him, but if anyone can in terms of pure pace, you'd expect the guy on pole to be the one to try and do it. As Mike rounds the final corner, when does he drop it and get going? He's waiting, still not going.
There we go, he gets a bit of wheel spins. Yeah, a lot of wheel spin as he gets on the restart, and Cena might actually have the toe there, so that might have been a poor plan from Mike. Cena's going to be chasing him down, heading towards turn 1. Is Daniel P. Wilmot going to be thinking the same? Chris Johnson looking for a move on Bazza further back, as down we go, and Bazza looking to the inside. Daniel P. Wilmot just about staying in front of Chris Johnson. Is he? Yes, he does, as they come through. The top 5 are pretty much as they were. Got to keep an eye on that as Bazza is getting challenged by Chris Johnson. He's got Blair Grills as well. It's going to be potentially 3 abreast. Blair's going to try and go round the outside of Bazza, and Bazza really is the cork in the bottle at the moment. Yeah,
Chris got a penalty cut the inside of that corner. Tried to get past Bazza, but he's let Blair Grills make the move instead. Bazza's going to be holding them all up. Yet to pit, but also at the back of this little train of cars, you've got the other Ferrari of Jacko, who has pitted, who's on the back of Parser. Meanwhile, the top 3 start to break away already. Cena is sticking with Mike. Wilmot just holding on. But he's tended to be a little bit slower on the first.
Chris Johnson is passing Blair Grills. He's up into P5, so that's a position gained, and he's lost 2 places there, Blair. Yeah, Parser's got him as well, so that's 2 places gone for for Blair Grills there. After gaining a place on the restart on Chris Johnson, he's now lost 2 and he's ended up behind. But Bazza's still in front of this train, which is not good for these drivers behind. So any chances of a podium of quickly slipping away in this race, the longer they stay behind Bazza, the non-stopping Bazza yet.
Yeah, Passer's just holding off Blair Grills into turn 1. Chris is going to be waiting desperately for some DRS as Menzies is off the road. I think he's tried to get past one of the Mercedes Kaya, didn't quite make the move and to take to the escape road, well, the grass in this case, as he drops to the back of the field.
Blair Grills and Jacko side by side in towards turn 6, and Blair just about holds on for the time being. Chris Johnson still stuck behind, and the gaps at the front are actually growing now. They're about a second apart, so the best battle on the circuit is everyone stuck behind Bazza. Chris Johnson, is he going to be able to get Bazza this time in towards turn number 12? There's a short DRS road. Is he going to try and stick it up the inside? No, he's going to wait until the main straight. Mike Noon has picked up another penalty as well, so that's 8 seconds worth of penalties. So that's a disaster for Mike. It's going from bad to worse, and the win is completely gone now. So it's whether he can stay on the podium at this rate.
And currently the gap between himself and Chris Johnson is 6.7 seconds, so there is a good chance that he could do it.
That was a bit
just set the fastest lap.
Meanwhile, Chris Johnson, Parser, all stuck behind Jacko. Coming here, Parser looking to the outside of Chris Johnson. Oh, it's getting very tight between these lot. Chris Johnson down the inside, Parser trying to follow him through, taking an ambitious line, shall we say, as Chris Johnson gets the move done, and now Bazza really is just going to drop like a stone, most likely. Parser all over the back of him, got Blair Grills. This is very tight, and yeah, like we said, Bazza is truly the cork in the bottle here.
Yeah, I think that was important for Chris to make that move, because it's going to give us the clear air now, and he could try and stay within, well, I say try and stay within 8 seconds of Mike, but Chris himself has a 3-second penalty, so at the moment it is looking good for Mike to still get a podium despite his 8 seconds.
Yeah,
Chris is away. I think he's going to break the DRS of Bazza pretty easily, although saying that, didn't get the best exit out of the S's, so Bazza sits in there using his battery up, runs a bit wide. That's going to let Paz have a look maybe into the stadium. Doesn't. Oh yep, Bazza's wide. That's going to let Parser have a look, but it's very close between the two.
He's got the move done round the outside,
but he's got
Parser.
it done on the outside.
Yeah, Parser's got the move done round the outside, got the move done nicely, and Bazza is going to have the DRS slow, so he's still not done with yet, Parser. Blair Grills is coming. Parsons going defensive, and Blair Grills is just going to go round the outside of the pair of them. Get the move done, is he? Yes, he does. Bazza going to the outside as well, so Parsons lost those 2 places. Blair Grills gains 2 places and back up into P5, but Parsons going to look to the inside of Bazza. Bazza with the DRS this time. No, he doesn't. But Blair Grills is going very defensive. Bazza's looking to the outside. They're all, oh, is that dive? Oh. Did I see? Yes, it was. They're side by side. Is Parser going to make a move? Yes, he does. There's going to be 3 wide. No, he thinks better of it. This is all getting very scrappy at the back of the field. Jacko taking advantage of it. Casts his Parser up into P7, so definitely some team shenanigans going on. He's pushed him onto the curb there. I think that's just about okay. Edging him onto the side of the circuit. Gets the move done. Jacko into P7, and he's all trained against Sayer Sport. Looking to the inside of Parser. Gets the move done, and he's up into P9. So Parser's just going backwards. And Parser down the inside of Sayer Sport. And he's spun. And he's spun. And that's the end of that saga for Parser. Fan favourite Parser. The end of the saga for him today. And that is that. Daniel P. Wheelnut has also picked up a 3-second penalty, so that's good news for Mike. So he now just needs to try and get the 5-second gap to Daniel P. Wheelnut to be safe for a podium.
Oh, well, I'm not a fan of the weaving there from Bazza trying to hold off Blair Grills. Blair is straight through anyway, but yeah, he can't really weave across like that too much. Blair is up to 5th, Chris Johnson in 4th. So Blair just needs to hold off. Well, I was going to say this hold off the DRS of Bazza, but
Jacko,
he gets
so that's not happening. That's surely going to be Bazza letting his teammate go. Oh, he doesn't though. That's a bit surprising, actually. He doesn't let his teammate go.
No, he's going to let him now.
Yeah, okay. He's made it far too obvious, to be honest. There, what he was doing, and he's ended up losing the position as Sayer Sports gives him the hip and shoulder on the exit and passes him as well.
Yeah, Baz is going to need to pit now. I thought Parson may have possibly had damage just before he made the spin because he seemed very slow coming out of the S's on the previous lap. That led to the contact that he had that spun him round, but he hasn't pitted, so
no, he just got a very poor run where he got edged out right at the beginning of it by Jacko, and that's what caused the problems to Parser. It meant he lost all his momentum through that section, and it meant Joe was just all over the back of him and able to take advantage. He tried to dive back up the inside at turn 12 and ended up spinning. That is what happened to Parser. But a bit of a disaster for him. He's back. He's managed to get back past Bazza as Bazza peels into the pit lane, and he's now back into the top 10. So the closest battle on the circuit is Jacko and Sayer Sports, the battle for P6.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the penalties, and Mike is about 8 tenths away from holding on to P2 over Wilnut because of the penalty Wilnut's got. So Cena looking good for the win over in the end at the moment. Obviously on the road it'll be Mike that takes the victory, but Cena doing a good job holding in within that 8-second window that he's got over Mike. So he should hold on to it, and he should hold on to the win from there. But just opening up a bit between the front 3 now as well.
Meanwhile, John Menzies gets a great run through the S's section. He's going to be down the inside of Mr. John into turn number 12 and get the move done. And that's just purely because Mr. John had a poor run through the S's, and that's gifted John Menzies having a lot better race here than he was here in Austin. Austin had a really strong qualifying and went backwards. This race had a very weak qualifying, shall we say, and he's ended up going up the field. So I think that's the one I'd rather have. I'd rather have a weak qualifying and build places rather than a strong qualifying and just go backwards. It's so demoralising, that, isn't it, Sean, when you just go backwards in a race?
Yeah, definitely. You just want to, if you qualify at the front, you kind of expect yourself to still be at the front by the end of the race, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't quite work out. You drop backwards, other cars get the jump on you strategy-wise, and it's very frustrating feeling when that happens to you. But when you're at the back of the grid and then you make your way up to the front, it feels a lot better because your points are always won on a Sunday. You'd rather be at the front at the end of the race than at the end of the qualifying.
Meanwhile, Jacko is within 4 tenths now of Blair Grills in the Ferrari. So he's trying to get himself a P5 here, Jacko, in this race as we're coming to the crescendo here. We've got about 3.5 laps to go now in this race. Mike Noon is, I think, just going to about hold on to P2. Well, He's not going to take the victory unless Cena picks up a last-minute 3-second penalty, which isn't very unlikely on this circuit because it's quite easy to do, John.
And I will tell you now, Cena is on 2 warnings. One more warning, it's a penalty. But Mike would still need another second plus the penalty.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Jacko is getting very close to the back of Bear Grylls with the DRS. He's going to look to the inside, try and get the move done down into turn 1. Jacko gets the move done, sweeps up into P5, Bear Grylls back down to P6, and he has a penalty anyway. But Jacko could be a benefactor, especially from Chris Johnson's penalty. As it stands, Blair Grylls going to try and maybe have a look back at a move into turn number 4. No, he's not quite close enough. So that's how we run with about 3 laps to go. We've got Mr. Closest battle on the circuit now is the battle for P7, as John Menzies is all over the back of Joe Sayer, but unfortunately for him, he's got 9 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah, Joe doesn't have any penalties at all at the moment, so Joe should be pretty comfortable there. I was just thinking, Daniel P. was closing in on Cena. The gap's about 1.3 seconds. He's not going to get the position unless Cena makes a big mistake on the last lap, gets a penalty or something. But could he get close enough in the final lap, just to have final couple of laps, just to have a bit of a chance to, maybe make Cena make a mistake, give himself a time penalty, get the position, and hold P2 on the road? Because at this point, and
there's the 3-second penalty for Cena, and Mike Noon has just got the 5-second gap he needs. He's very close to it. He's only 2 tenths above it. So Mike Noon could still end up winning this race as John Menzies passes round the outside of Sayer Sports and gets himself up into P7. But there is the drama. There, you said he was on 2 warnings, John Cena. He's picked up that 3rd. He's picked up the 3-second time penalty, and now Mike Noon just needs 2 more attempts to take victory in this race.
And also because of the way the leaderboard thing works on this game, Mike will see that he knows he's tantalisingly close to getting the race win here. But Cena also will see that and will know he's got to do everything in his power to close that gap up just to get back in that 5-second window. I can tell you, Mike has the bit between his teeth. He's got that gap up to 5.3. Wilnut I was saying he was closer than Cena. Suddenly, both cars in front of him have just absolutely upped their pace. So this is a thrilling final lap. They're 5 seconds apart the road, but 5 seconds difference in penalties. If the race finished now,
Mike would win by 7.
Mike would have just won by a tenth.
Yeah, he was just won, and I think he's building the gap. We're on the final lap of this race here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Mike Noon in the Williams, going through the first couple of corners. He's got the 5-second gap he needs thanks to Cena's penalty, so he'll be loving that. He made the mistake under safety car, very poor mistake from Mike, especially like we said, coming into the pits under safety car, no pressure at all, picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but looks like it's not gonna affect his race, and he's still gonna take the victory. So
Sayers gone round. Sayers Sports has gone round. He's thrown away 8th position. He's going to drop to P10. If he could stick, if he could stick close to the 2 cars he's just lost positions to, he might just get that P8 back. We are going to keep an eye on that gap. It's 1/10 between the top 2 once penalties are applied. This is going right down to the line, I tell you.
Yeah. So going through the final into the stadium section for the final time in this race, Mike Noon in the wheels. In the Williams, you can see the confetti going off. Blair Grylls picks up another penalty, but Mike Noon is going to cross the line. He's going to hope and wait. He crosses the line for the time being, takes the victory. How far is Cena going to be? It's 1/10. Is he? He just about holds on by 35 thousandths. Mike Noon takes the victory for Williams. Cena is going to come home in 2nd. Daniel P. Wilner is 3rd, and we've got to wait for Chris Johnson across the line. He's in 4th, loses out to Jacko in 5th. Blair Grylls is in 6th. John Menzies in 7th. Parser's going to come home in 8th position. Mr. John is going to come home in 10th after Joe Sayer picks up 9th thanks to having less penalties. Mick Schumacher has been disqualified from the race for picking up too many time penalties. So that's him out. So that means Bazza's going to be promoted up to 11th. Kaya in 12th. Red Bull Kim's going to finish 13th. And Indecisive Mackie with 15 seconds worth of penalty is going to finish 14th. But Mike Noon will be counting his lucky stars that his speeding penalty didn't cost him a victory there.
Yeah, that I can't tell you how remarkably close that was. Well, I can because you've seen it, but I can tell you, I was just watching Cena come through the last corner, and you think you should put the ERS down to the line, but Cena seemed to hesitate. He waited for the car to sort of straighten up before hitting the ERS. Had he just deployed it a little earlier, he might have just snuck those few thousandths to have won that race. But instead, he misses out, and Mike, despite a speeding penalty, wins the Mexican Grand Prix.
He does indeed. Williams will be loving that. They had points with Alex Balbon in Miami at the weekend, and now they've got a victory here in Mexico with Mike Noon in TGP2. So the drivers are celebrating on the podium. Cena gets another strong result and makes a small dent into Daniel P. Wheelnut's championship lead there with a 3-point gap. 3-point indent in his championship lead, but still I think the net winner tonight is Daniel P. Wheelnut. But Mike Noon takes the victory from Cena in second place in his AlphaTauri and Daniel P. Wheelnut in third. The top three actually all finished where they started, funnily enough, but it didn't seem that way for most of that race. Jacko finishes P4 in the end, Chris Johnson in P5, Blair Grills in P6, then we've got Parser in P7, John Menzies in P8, 9th is Josiah. Rounding out the top 10 is Mr. John, then we've got Bazza in 11th, Red Bull Kim in 12th, Kai in 13th, and Indecisive Mackie in 14th. So, what pair of races that was, John? What would you say to that?
Well, I don't think it's going to get much closer than that for a race win. Astonishing how the last laps kind of fell after the second to last lap penalty for Cena for taking too many track limit liberties. It's just basically the last couple of laps just turned into a full-on time trial between the two, just to try and get to the line as quick as possible. But ultimately, Mike just winning out there takes the race victory. In terms of the championship, you have a very good night for Daniel P. Wheelnut. He started the night, I believe it was only a small handful of points ahead of Cena. Might have been 11 points.
Yeah, it was 11 points ahead of Cena.
It was 11 points. He's going to end the night 28 points clear, courtesy of the 20 points he's gained in Austin. So a good night for the championship leader, Daniel P. Wheelnut. A first and a third, a double podium. Can't argue with that one too much. Obviously, I believe Cena's quality ban in Kota definitely cost him a lot. Dom's not had a great night either. Jacko's had a fairly solid night, but Mike will be over the moon with that race win. His 35th career TGP2 win puts him 3 clear at the top of the all-time win list.
It does indeed. So a very good night for Mike. A very good night for Daniel P. Wheelnut, the championship leader. And that is that from TGP2 season 31, rounds 11 and 12 from United States and Mexico. Next week it's the Netherlands and Italy, and you'll be joined, I think, next week in the commentary box. Just having a look now. Yes, it'll be Roy and Dan back in the commentary box next week for you, so you don't have to put up with my voice. You only have to do that for TGP1, I'm afraid, guys. So, that is that from TGP2 tonight. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. So, see you on PS4.